Hi everyone, my name is Megan Cassady and I teach 7th and 8th grade math and 7th grade science here at St. Mary. We're thrilled to get to have your kids back in the classroom with us and I look forward to getting to see all of your faces again soon. I'm going to go ahead and do my PowerPoint like I would typically do at Meet the Teacher Night. I'm going to share my screen with you guys and go through that. I begin with 7th and 8th grade math, so that way my 8th grade parents, once I get through the math portion, you are free to sign off, and my 7th grade parents, I ask that you will stick around as I go through the science portion. Okay, here we go. Just a little bit about me. This is my 7th year at St. Mary's School, Hyde Park. I was fortunate enough to get to attend Catholic schools my entire life, from preschool through graduate school. So I feel very lucky to teach in a place where faith is a part of everything we do each day. I have an undergraduate degree in meteorology and a master's degree in middle childhood education. So I always get really excited when I get to talk about the weather with your students and look forward to that in science every year. If you need to contact me, the best way is via email. My email is mcassady@smshp.com. I'm just going to ask that you note the spelling of my last name. It's a little bit different. It's Cassady. So if that A gets replaced with an I won't ever see your email. I would ask that you note that I don't check my emails after 5 o'clock on weeknights or during the weekend. Any important weekly information and homework assignments can be found on my teacher webpage, found under the teacher links on the school's website. And for any updates on grades, please check our new fax system. For 7th and 8th grade math, there's a few key class materials. All of the students have a simple solutions book. They've also received their Big Ideas math textbook and the corresponding student journal. The textbooks have a great website that goes along with them, and each student has an account that's been created for them, and I will go over the login information with them as soon as possible. The site has great exercises and examples that correspond to those in the textbooks, and they can also access their book online if they ever don't want to lug home their giant hardcover textbook. The site will be utilized a little bit more once we are one-to-one in the classroom, once every student has a tablet of their own that they can interact with, or in the case that we have to go remote again. For 8th grade curriculum, we begin with the number system. We talk about rational number operations, equations with rational numbers, and roots. We then move on to our functions, our tables and graphs, expressions and equations, which includes linear equations, exponents, and roots. We move into the geometry unit. We touch on measurement, similarity and scale, rotations, reflections, translations, and the Pythagorean theorem. And then we finish the year with statistics and probability. We talk about data and prediction and linear functions. 7th grade curriculum follows the same kind of sequence. We begin with the number system. We talk about operations with rational numbers. We get students exposed to those negative and positive integers. And we talk about the concept of additive inverses. We move on to ratios and proportional relationship, which involves unit rates, equivalent ratios, and percents. We then go into expressions and equations, start exposing them to a little bit of algebraic thinking. We talk about variable expressions, linear expressions, and constructing equations. Move into geometry, where we do scale drawings. We talk about the formulas for different types of triangles, and we talk about circles and area and circumference. And then we move on to statistics and probability. We're going to talk about populations, random samples, and predictions. General rules and procedures. Every day in math, I usually take some sort of notes, and the students who had me as 7th graders know that. I use a basic outlining format and take time discussing the important concepts, important examples from the text, and pointing out any other key notes. Students are asked to be taking notes at the same time I am. If they have a format they like to follow more than the outlining format, that's fine. I just ask that they stay organized whenever they're taking their notes. Homework assignments will be written down on the classroom whiteboard each day, and I always try to remind students of what their homework is on my way out the door. Homework can also be found on the webpage every day. It generally will take the format of assignment reviewing the concepts learned in class that day, and simple solutions pages will be assigned every Friday and Wednesday. We check 2 of the lessons in class on Tuesdays and 2 in class on Thursdays. In terms of quizzes, the main chunk of quizzes for 7th and 8th grade math our simple solutions quizzes, and they also have mid-chapter assessments. So if a unit is 6 sections long, we'll take a quiz after the first 3 and a quiz after the second 3. Students are always given at least 1 to 2 days of notice for tests, and simple solutions quizzes should be anticipated every Friday unless there is some sort of schedule change. Tests are over the culminating ideas of the unit of study. I always try to give students at least 1 week's notice for tests. For math, I don't give a formal study guide, but I will give some sort of unit review that I will go over with the students after they've completed it. And if they can confidently complete the unit review, they should assume they're going to be okay walking into the test. I follow all grading policies found in the handbook. I use a point system rather than weighting assignments. Homework taken for completion grades typically span from 2 to 3 points. Simple solutions pages are worth 1 point. Quizzes vary from 10 to 20 points, and tests can range from 30 to 50 points. For late and missing work, any assignments that are only taken as completion grades, I do not accept late. Those are due the day that they are due because we typically check them in class. Each week, 1 homework assignment will be randomly collected and graded for accuracy. If this is the case, students may turn these in 1 day late and receive partial credit. I occasionally assign work or projects that are counted for more points than the nightly simple solutions and workbook pages. If this is the case, assignments are still expected to be turned in on time, obviously. But if an assignment is 1 day late, it will be taken as 70% of the grade earned. After 2 days, however, I will not accept late assignments. If additional time is ever needed, I just ask that you please let me know as soon as possible. For extra credit, I don't give individualized extra credit assignments in math. Students will have the opportunity to earn 3 extra credit points on every test though. The extra credit assignment typically takes the form of some sort of practice test or other review. I'm trying to get the students to study even a little bit more for the test by bribing them with 3 extra credit points. These assignments are always turned in with the test, and late assignments are not accepted. All right, my 8th grade parents, feel free to go. 7th grade parents, I will begin with the science. Our class materials really consist of just the Science Fusion textbook for the most part. This serves as the student's textbook and primary notebook. They can highlight, they can take notes, all sorts. Along with their textbook, there is a website that the students will receive their login information for. The site contains things such as digital lessons and virtual labs that accompany each section of the textbook. Just like with the math series, the site will probably be utilized more once the students are one-to-one in the classroom, or in the case that we have to go remote again. In terms of curriculum, we begin with science inquiry and application. We go over scientific method, the international system of units. We talk about the relationship between science, math, technology, and engineering, and we go over the engineering design process. Then we move on to earth and space science. We talk about the water cycle. We go over my favorite unit, weather and climate. We talk about laws of conservation of energy and mass, the greenhouse effect, and tides. We then move on to life science, where we begin with cellular respiration, what determines where a population is capable of living. We discuss food chains and ecosystems. And we end with physical science. We talk about the difference between a physical change and a chemical change. We discuss the periodic table. We learn how to balance chemical equations, and we talk about pH, acids, and bases, and the difference between kinetic and potential energy. My homework assignments, just like math, are written down on the classroom whiteboard each day, and if students ever need to double check something, they can go to my webpage. The regular homework typically involves finishing some sort of notes or reading. Reading assignments are taken as completion grades, but students need to show that they are carefully reading and answering each question in order to receive the full credit for the reading. Assignments that either review and reinforce the information learned in class or enrich students' thinking can also be given. Some assignments will also consist of completing activities from the book's website. Just like with math, students are always given 1 to 2 days notice for quizzes. All questions are multiple choice or short answers. These quizzes are used primarily just to check in and make sure the students are actually completing the reading and comprehending what they're reading. They're graded out of 12 points, and students can do corrections if they receive an 8 out of 12 or lower, and I accept their corrections up to 1 day before the unit test. Tests cover the big ideas of each unit of study. Students always receive a week's notice for the test and a formal study guide a week before the test. The tests cover vocabulary, there's a multiple choice section, a short answer section, and extended response. Their other large assignment for science is Science in the News. This is a current events assignment on a topic of your student's choice. Students have been given the dates for all 6 assignments and have been asked to record those in their planner. Sites for students to find articles on are found on my science webpage. And students are also allowed to turn in their Science in the News assignments up to 2 days before the final due date to receive corrections. Again, I follow all grading policies in the handbook. My assignments are graded using the point system rather than weighting anything. A breakdown of the points is as follows. Reading homework is generally 5 points. Outlines are 10 points. Reading quizzes are 12 points. The Science in the News assignments are each 45 points, and unit tests range from 50 to 80 points. For late and missing work, if an assignment is not turned in on the due date, it can be turned in 1 day late for 70% of the grade earned. If turned in 2 days past due or later, credit will not be given. And again, if there is a circumstance where you know your child is going to need additional time on an assignment, I just ask that you let me know as soon as you can. That pretty much covers the basics. I look forward to working in cooperation with all of you and getting to meet all of you in person. If you have any questions or concerns at any time, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you all so much for your time. I look forward to getting to meet you.